Hey there. Today I want to show you guys my favorite and I think the easiest way to add a custom cursor to your Webflow project. Doesn't have to be Webflow, but since I use Webflow, you guys know that I do all of that in Webflow. So we'll be looking at this example here, which has just a nice little orange circle following your cursor and growing into sort of a bigger transparent one on hover of a link. And then after that, we will expand on that logic to create this cool follower, which has a dynamic piece of text to it, which changes on every link, and you can set this using attributes. This specific video idea came from this clonable that we published earlier this week on Osmo, and it had a GSAP-powered custom cursor with this dynamic piece of text that follows your cursor, and it even had edge awareness, where you notice if we move to the right side of the screen, the piece of text move left, because otherwise the text would obviously overflow on the right of the side of the screen and we couldn't read it. And I figured it would be good to create sort of a basic video that sort of covers the principles of this without the edge awareness. We're going to keep this one short and simple. So in Webflow, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the actual cursor element. For that, I'm just going to create a div that I want to keep outside of my main container, basically. I'm going to give it a class of cursor, apply position fixed to the top left of the screen, and maybe make it 12 pixels big. I'm going to give it this nice orange color background, an orange border, give it a high enough radius so it's round. And then we need to apply a pointer event none. Otherwise, every time I want to click something later on the page, we would be clicking the actual cursor element instead of what's underneath it. Now, this cursor thing, you could obviously make this using Webflow interactions. I've done it before many times, but the annoying part is that if the cursor is an afterthought, you'd have to go to every single page to add a mouse follow interaction. And the thing that I'm going to show you today uses GSAP, and I think it's about 5 lines of JavaScript that you can just copy and paste, and it's going to work with no issues whatsoever. It's impossible to fail. So I definitely think this is the best way to go. I see that I also need to give it a high enough z-index. And now I want to think about the hover state. So for the hover state, what I want to do is I want to make it slightly bigger, more transparent, and I think that's about it. So we'll add some CSS transitions on the width property, half a second, and a cool, nice little dramatic easing. Let's copy this for the height and also for the background colors, and set what will be changing. Okay, so for this cursor, I wanted to expand whenever I hover a link. There's multiple ways you could do this. You could set up a JavaScript listener to add some sort of hover class every single time that you hover on a link. But I find the easiest way to do it is with some CSS. So in some custom CSS between some style brackets, we're going to add a has selector on the body. So if a body has a link that's being hovered, then we can target, wow, typing all sorts of wrong characters. Then we can target the cursor element. In this case, we'll make the cursor bigger, maybe 2 rems. And we'll set its background color to something slightly more transparent. So if I remember correctly, the RGB value was 7636. So that's the hex value for that orange color. And then we'll make it transparent by maybe 10%, so 0.1. So what this selector does is that it's going to listen if the body will have a link that is being hovered, then we're going to target the cursor. Since the cursor is inside of the body, this will work using CSS because CSS can only like search downwards or with siblings. So this is going to work. Now you could, if you've got like a button element or any other element on your page that is not a link block, but you would still want to apply the hover class, you could simply duplicate this bit here and then make sure you add a comma in between. And then if the body has maybe you've got a button class, and if that button is being hovered, then we also target the cursor to have the styling. So if we save and close and sort of hover on a link now in the top left, and we see that it's getting the hover style applied. So that's step one. I'm going to publish that. Wait till that's done. Now we just need to make sure that the dot will follow our cursor. So in my demo project, I now have the cool orange circle. I've got a Slater file connected to it, so we can get right into this. Now we're going to build this using GSAP. And by now, I'm sure that many or most of you have used a GSAP.to or GSAP.from tween. But there is this one thing that I'm pretty sure you haven't heard of, which is a GSAP.quick2 function, which is an alternative to the to function, which makes sense because the name's similar. But this is very, very suitable if you're going to change the value many, many times of the same target. For example, on a mouse move event, which is what we need when we're going to follow. Because what it's going to happen is that JavaScript going to listen for the position of our cursor, which is going to change with every pixel that you're going to move. So there's a lot of refreshes for the thing. And in this case, a quick2 function will boost your performance instead of using a normal to. Now, you can read all about this in the docs yourself, but there is a cool little demo here at the bottom. And if we switch to the JavaScript tab, we see that this bit of code is all that we need to make this thing perfectly follow our cursor. So I'm going to copy that bit, head to Slater, and let's see what's going on here. So we first have a gsap.setTween, which targets the flare element, which is the class GSAP gave that thing in their demo. And it applies it minus 50% on the X and Y axis. So what that'll do is that'll obviously move it left and up a little bit so that the center of your element will be perfectly centered at the tip of your cursor. Then they create a function called x2. And the x2 function, what it does is that it will apply a gsap.to tween, quick2 tween on the flare element. It changes the x property over a duration of 0.6 seconds with an ease of power 3. And then they copied the same for the y2 function. Sorry about that. And then they added an event listener on the window. And what it does is that it registers the event, and then it passes the client X and Y position, so the actual coordinates of your cursor, into these two functions. If you're wondering why x2 has let in front of it, which is a variable, and y2 doesn't, is because there's a comma here instead of the semicolon, which is sort of a shorthand way of writing. But for the sake of this example, to keep things simple for maybe the less experienced people among us, we'll just change that to look the exact same. Oh. All right. Now, obviously, this isn't going to work because we don't have a .flare class, but we've got a cursor class. So if we just change that, and now save it, and on the left, I'll refresh. And here we go. We got a working mouse follower with a cool hover state in, I think, like 5 minutes or something. So I think this is pretty cool, and which can be perfectly used in your project. It won't interfere. Yeah. That's it, basically. Now you could put this bit of code between a document.event listener for the DOM content loaded in your global code, like in the settings, for it to work on every single page. Maybe put the cursor in a global sort of component that you've got on every single page. You can easily make updates to it without having to go into the mouse move and viewport interaction of every single page, and just too tedious. This is great. This works great, and it's very, as you see, super simple. But we've got a second version today, which is going to have, instead of just a simple dot, this will be a little text block that is basically going to change dynamically on every little link or block or whatever you want, which I think can add a really cool effect to a page. Maybe you've got like a work case study grid and you want the thumbnail of every image to be hoverable, and it will say open case study, or maybe it will load in the name of the case study in your cursor. So for this use case, we're going to change our cursor a bit here. We no longer want it to be a simple orange dot, but we now want it to be a piece of text. So let's remove the width and height attributes. We still need a fixed position. I don't want it to be that round anymore. I don't need these transitions. And I don't want it, yeah, we can keep it orange. But let's add some padding on all sides. Like this. And then we're going to add a text block inside, maybe a paragraph, cursor. Obviously that's huge. So I'm going to set it to be 10 pixels maybe, which is 0.625 rems. For the sake of the demo, we'll make it bigger, like 12 pixels. We'll make it white. And I don't know why it has humongous space. Paragraph still has some margin on the bottom. So that's my cursor. Now I want to add a little bit of border radius. I hate the blue overlay. I think that looks great. Obviously we see that the CSS is still interfering. So, but here's what we're going to change. Obviously, if we have this piece of text following our mouse, we don't want this to be all over our page. We only want this to appear whenever we hover a link or a target that we define ourselves. So the default state of this cursor should be opacity 0. And then in our embed CSS, all that we need to change, whenever a body has a target that we want to hover, we're going to set the opacity to 1. Like this. You see, it appears only when hovering. Now we can add a CSS transition like this, maybe 350, something very subtle. I think that's way too slow. I'm going to set that back to 200, which is the default, and then we'll just move with that. Okay, so now the cursor will fade in whenever we hover a link. But we also want to dynamically change the piece of text. For this, I find a nice solution to work with attributes. So whenever element we want to have our text appear, we're going to add a data cursor attribute. And maybe on our logo, we're going to say, nice logo. So what we want is that whenever we're going to move our mouse over this thing on the left side, the cursor will appear and the text will change to nice logo. I've already done some pre-work where the Osmo logo says go home, and the link here says visit osmo.supply, and we've got a link for the Webflow clonable button as well. And all of them use the data cursor attribute. You could also change this custom CSS. So instead of saying the if a attribute has it, we could now say if a data cursor element has the hover state, then we'll change the opacity of the cursor. All very dynamic, whatever your setup requires. So let's publish this one. And now I want to use a cool little effect for it. So I've already gone ahead and pre-uploaded the split. Oh, that should have been Scramble text plugin from GSAP, which is a paid one. So if you want to use it, make sure to get a GSAP Club subscription. You get all access to these cool plugins, which might be a good topic for another video sometime. But it's basically going to allow us to create that glitchy text effect. We already see that the cursor is nicely following. So we're going to make the necessary changes to our setup. First off, I don't like that the text sits below the actual mouse cursor. So I think what we could do is just keep this at 0 and save that, refresh. Now, still a bit over my cursor, so maybe we'll transform the cursor element downwards 50%, and then maybe 20% to the right, so it sits nicely on the bottom right of our cursor. I like this. For the rest, we can leave all of this because we need that same functionality. Now we just want to make sure that whenever we hover a data cursor target, that we will change the text dynamically. So for that, I'm going to register all of my targets, which I can just say targets. In the document, I'm going to find all of the elements that have a data attribute of data cursor. Now to all of these targets, we'll add a loop, which on every link, we're going to create a function like this. And for every link, I could say target, and instead of call targets, I could call links. Maybe let's do that. That makes more sense. So links. And then for each link, first thing that I want to do is for each link, I want to register what the dedicated piece of text should be. So we can say let text equals link.getAttribute and we're going to log the data cursor value of the attribute. And what this will do is we can console log it to check it out. If I inspect element now in my console, if I save on the right and refresh on the left, it says unexpected token. Oh, I was a bit confused there, but sorry, so I cut the video there for a second. We got a for each loop on every link, and we create a function, we get the attribute of the text, and then we logged it, and now we see that it's console logging all of the data attribute values. So now we just need to make sure that we are able to change the actual text. So I'm going to remove the console log, and I'm going to say on every link, we're going to add an event listener for the mouse enter event, create a function for it. So on mouse enter, what we're going to do is we're going to say GSAP.to. And what we want to do is that we want to target the paragraph element inside of our cursor, this thing here. So we can say inside cursor, space, find the paragraph, and then we'll target this one. For that, I've uploaded the Scramble Text plugin, which we can use as follows. Scramble Text, and we're going to say, so the text, what it should be is the text of the actual element. The characters that we want to use are maybe undercase letters. And maybe we'll set the speed, the default is 1, so this changes the speed. We'll leave it to the default for now. So you can see, so if I save and refresh here, we see that it's scrambling my text like this. So if we want it to speed up a little bit, so scramble faster basically, we can change it like this. And that's it basically. We could set, if we want to change the overall duration that it takes, so outside of the scramble text, we can just set the duration on the GSAP.to tween of maybe 0.8 if we want to slow it down a little bit. We see that it now takes a little bit longer to unfold all of the characters. So yeah, that's how you create this cool mouse enter event. So again, maybe you've got like in your project, you'll have like some sort of collection list, and then every collection item is maybe a link to the case study. You've got a link block, obviously. And maybe you want the cursor to list the name of the case study, or you'll just say open case, but maybe you've got another collection list for blog posts, and then you want to say, instead of open case, you want it to say read blog post or read article. And this is a very simple way to just get a dynamic piece of text on Hover. Now, obviously, if you don't want to use the Scramble Text plugin and to basically, well, do the scrambling effect, you can use other solutions as well. But instead of scrambling, maybe you just dynamically instantly change the text. So yeah, ask ChatGPT on how to do that. If you'd like to get that free clonable of this one here, make sure you head to osmo.supply over here on the top left, and make sure to join the waitlist. We will drop you an email with all of the clonables that we've published so far, which includes the one for the custom cursor. And from then on forwards, every Monday you'll get another free resource in your inbox until we launch early next year. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you've got any questions, leave them down below in the comments. Make sure to subscribe. It helps boost my channel. And yeah, I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Cheers.